Thanks for downloading Ehnother Podcast from ehnotherpodcast.com. Today's show can be found in many ways. iTunes, the ehnotherpodcast.com webpage, and now can be found on Stitcher.com. You can now stream the latest show anywhere with the Stitcher app, on your computer, even on your boss's computer. Ehnother Podcast is now at your fingertips every day of the week and at your convenience. Enjoy today's episode of Warlock Wednesdays. ehnotherpodcast.com. Not a sponsor. Hello and welcome to another Warlock Wednesday. It's the Warlock Hour with Rayzor, and I have a pretty decent lineup of things to get through tonight. But, tonight for me, it's Monday night, as I always record on Monday, but you're listening on Wednesday. So it is Wednesday, which means it's comic book release day. So let's check out the comic book releases for this Wednesday, May the 22nd. Here are the DC releases. All issue number 20s, so I'm not going to say the issues, just the titles. Flash, Green Lantern, Justice League, Superman, and Teen Titans. As I said, all of those are issue number 20s. From Marvel this week, Avengers plus X-Men number 8, Deadpool number 10, Superior Spider-Man number 10, Uncanny Avengers number 8, and Young Avengers number 5. All 5 of those titles I will be picking up. Unfortunately, no DC issues for me this week, as the only 2 I collect are Suicide Squad and Batgirl, and, as I said, none of those issues are coming out. From the Independents this week, from Dynamite Entertainment, Red Sonja number 75. Personally, I'm waiting till the Red Sonja reboot, when Gail Simone will be taking over the writing, and I will be picking up her run on Red Sonja for however long it lasts. I like her writing style. She's done very well with Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl, and writes some very strong female character comic book heroes. So, looking forward to her rendition of Red Sonja. From IDW Publishing this week, Doctor Who number 9, Ghostbusters number 4, Judge Dredd number 7, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 21, and True Blood number 13. So that is your comic book releases for this week. I want to get into something that I've brought up here numerous times before, at least 3 that come to memory offhand, and that's the whole Marvel versus DC war. The war is more now by the fans. DC and Marvel have they've kind of split the market shares. I mean, in 2012, the market shares were around 34% for Marvel, 31% for DC. In the last 15 years, they've not been outside of maybe 5% of each other of the market. So I mean, usually it's within 3. Sometimes it's been closer. Sometimes it's been a little further than 3, but usually never more than 5% apart. They are competitors. They know that, but they have 6. That's a 20-year advantage that DC has. Yet the Marvel universe of movies have made $1.6 billion more than the DC universe of movies, because the DC universe of movies, really, their high ones only consist of 2 characters, Batman and Superman. Guy came back with a comment saying, well, Marvel does nothing for the fans. Marvel does nothing for the fans. Yes, I will say the DC Comics, DC Universe has a much broader television market. They do many animated series on television. They have quite a few shows on TV that are DC related. You know, they had Smallville. They've got Arrow right now currently playing, which just had their season finale. So they have that for the fans, and Marvel doesn't really have that. But you got to remember, Marvel was recently purchased by Disney in only 2010. It was technically 2009. The sale was December 31st, 2009. So, I mean, the year was over. It's 2010. So Disney has only owned Marvel for 2 years. Or 3 years, sorry. 2 years and, what are we? We're in May, so 2 years, 5.5 months. So 3 years, we'll say, even though that's a little stretch. It's not even 2.5 years quite yet. But 3 years, Disney has owned Marvel. In that time, they have released two of the biggest opening movies of all time, the biggest movie of all time in the Avengers, or third biggest movie of all time, but the biggest comic book movie of all time in the Avengers, and Iron Man 3 being a very close second. Well, not very close, but a second comic book movie that they've released. Plus, they have plans for the future. We've got Thor coming out later this year. We have Captain America and Guardians of the Galaxy coming out next year. We have Avengers 2 and Ant-Man coming out in 2015. And in the pipeline, there's talks for a Doctor Strange movie, a Black Panther movie, a third Avengers film. This is not to mention that all the properties that have been sold by Marvel before they became an official studio and making their own movies, where we have X-Men coming out this year, Wolverine coming out this year, X-Men coming out next year, also Amazing Spider-Man 2 comes out next year. I mean, they have plans, they have things in motion that for their fans, and plus we have the S.H.I.E.L.D. show that's coming out this fall. What does DC have? Other than their animated shows, which a lot of them recently have been canceled, they have Man of Steel coming out in June and possibly Justice League coming out in 2015. They have Arrow on television right now, which, like I said, just had their season finale. And that's it. Like, I mean, they've tried so many things and they've failed with Wonder Woman, the bombing of Green Lantern. Their stuff just hasn't been working as well as Marvel's has. And their plans for the future are sketchy at best. Marvel has Disney backing them up. They've also been a company that have had not so much a solid backer when it comes to movies, television, and stuff like that. They've always had to spread out their properties, whereas DC has always been with Warner Brothers. And yet, Marvel is ahead. And I'm not going into every detail because I have on previous podcasts, but it just upset me this week that somebody still thinks that Marvel sucks. Neither of these companies suck. But to say something without facts is just an opinion. And yes, you're entitled to your opinion. Hell, I'm here on a podcast, on a weekly podcast, giving my opinion. And in my opinion, this person is not as informed as he likes to think he is. Or maybe as he would want to be. Because, honestly, you're looking at the numbers, and I know a lot of people don't like numbers. Marvel's way ahead right now. They have plans for the future. DC doesn't have that. And, I want to see more DC films succeed. I want to see good movies. And that is another difference. Marvel's made good movies in the last little while. DC has kind of fumbled the football, so to speak, because let's face it, the last Superman movie was terrible. Like, it didn't do terrible in the box office, it did fairly well, but it was a bad movie. Green Lantern was a bad movie. That's not to say Marvel hasn't made bad movies. I mean, Ghost Rider movies weren't that great. The second Punisher movie that was put out after Thomas Jane left the show, or the franchise, it does happen, but overall, Marvel has succeeded so much better recently in the last 4 or 5 years, way more than DC has. DC did have, obviously, Dark Knight, which was a blockbuster, but again, that comes down to circumstances. I can almost 100% guarantee you that movie would not have had the bank that it had if Heath Ledger, may he rest in peace, had not died. That increased the number of people that went to see that movie. But I digress. I'm not going into any more of that. I truly believe that Marvel is not a sucky company. They are a very good company. I love their product. I'm always going to be a Marvel guy. Plus, I'm Canadian. Marvel appeals to me a hell of a lot more than DC. DC shuns Canadian work. They even screwed the Schuster family out of money for Superman, and we all know that Schuster created Superman, and he's, Canadian. So, they have no Canadian superheroes that are mainstream. Marvel has 2. They have a few more other Canadian heroes, but Marvel has Canadian heroes that people can actually watch on movies, read in comics. DC, you have to find some obscure reference to Canadian. So yes, I'm definitely partial to it, but what can I say? I've been a Marvel guy my entire life. I still look at all the numbers. I'm not saying DC sucks. They do not suck. They've put out good movies. They've put out good comic books. A lot of their animation is pretty good. I don't watch a lot of it, but I know it's pretty good. It's just not as appealing and it's as attractive to me as it is to some. But to just go out and say, oh, Marvel sucks? Sorry. You're wrong. And that is not just my opinion. That is many people's opinions. That is fact. You are wrong. Marvel does not suck. That is entirely your opinion. And not a very good one. Not a very informed one, if I do say so. So let's leave comics for this week. We'll come back to it next week, of course. But we are going into the box office revenues from this past weekend. And as I expected, Star Trek Into Darkness did take some of the thunder away from Iron Man 3 and was the #1 movie this week, bringing in $70.5 million this weekend and bringing its total, because it opened on Thursday, to $84 million. Iron Man 3 did not slip far. It went to second spot and brought in another $35.1 million, bringing its North American total to $337 million. But worldwide, it has now cracked the $1 billion mark. It's now up to $1,073 million worldwide. So $1.073 billion made by Iron Man 3 so far worldwide. Moving on, Great Gatsby falls to third with $23.4 million. Pain and Gain drops to fourth with $3.1 million. The Croods jumps up a couple of spots, but this is only in retrospect because it was a long weekend here in Canada, and also that there's not been many kids movies, like children's movies, coming out in the last little while, so it jumped a couple of spots with $2.75 million from 7th to 5th. This movie will drop drastically, I have a feeling, coming this weekend when I get to the new releases. Dropping from 5th to 6th is 42 with $2.73 million. From 6th down to 7th, Oblivion, $2.2 million. Holding steady at number 8 is Mud, $2.16 million. Tyler Perry Presents Peoples drops from 4 to 9th with $2.15 million $2.15 million. And rounding out the top 10, dropping from 9th to 10th, The Big Wedding with $1.1 million. So that's your top 10. As I said, Croods was going to drop, I think, drastically this coming week, and that's because of the new releases for this coming weekend. The long weekend in the States this weekend, so this is going to get some extra incentive. It's Memorial Day weekend in the States. This past weekend was Victoria Day weekend in Canada, or as it's sometimes known as May 2-4 weekend, but I could not bring myself to call it that this year because they screwed up. Victoria Day is always the third Monday in May. It doesn't matter when it is, it's always the third Monday in May. So the long weekend is usually around there. But the 24th is actually the following Friday. Well, wouldn't that make sense to call that May 2-4 weekend? But 2-4 is in reference more to a case of beer, which is what a lot of people here in Canada call a case of beer. They don't call it a case of beer, they say, I'm going to get a 2-4. Although now we sell many different sizes. There's 12 packs, 18 packs, 36 packs. I've seen 28 bottles of beer, so I mean, the reference has kind of been lost along the way, but they call it May 2-4 weekend. It's Victoria Day weekend. That's the long weekend here in Canada. And the long weekend in the States next weekend is Memorial Day weekend. So Memorial Day weekend openings, Epic. Epic is going to crush the Croods down the list because it is the first kids movie to come out since the Croods came out, which came out in March 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. That's almost a full 2.5 months without a children's film. But now that school's getting closer to be coming out, Epic comes out this weekend. That will take bank away from the Croods for sure. Croods is going to drop down that list. 2 other big movies this weekend that might interest my listeners a little bit more. Hangover Part 3 opens on Thursday, and Fast and Furious 6 opens this Friday. So those are your movie releases. You have Epic for the kids, Hangover Part 3, and Fast and Furious 6 all opening this weekend, with Hangover Part 3 opening on Thursday night. So let's get to some movie news. Iron Man 3 writer Drew Pearce is to be the writer for Mission Impossible 5. Paramount Pictures announced the hiring of the co-writer of Iron Man 3 to write the 5th installment of the picture, being released by Paramount later on in 2000. They haven't really announced a date, but the direction looks to be either late 2014 or sometime maybe as a summer movie or pre-summer movie in 2015. But there has been no date announced quite yet. The director hasn't even been announced, but Christopher McQuarrie, who directed Tom Cruise in Jack Reacher, is actually in talks right now to direct the film. So as we find out more, I will tell you more. Last week I announced that the Dungeons & Dragons franchise was going to be rebooted by Warner Brothers. However, it looks like Hasbro is going to take them to court and fight this. As I mentioned, the script for the movie is being an adaptation of Jeff Perrin's Chainmail, a 1971 game that preceded D&D. However, the rights to that game is not at Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers owns the rights to D&D. Now, this to me sounds like a bunch of hemming and hawing by Hasbro, because obviously they're not going to use Chainmail as part of it. I don't think they should have released the fact that they were going to be basing it off a script that kind of dealt a little bit with Chainmail, because Hasbro owns the rights to Chainmail. However, this to me seems a little bit stupid, but you know, that's how companies work sometimes. It's all about the almighty dollar. They don't care really about what we think. They care about how much money they can make. Warner Brothers, I'm guessing, will still pursue this. However, it is now up to a judge to decide if and when Warner Brothers can release this movie or get to work on this movie. Weird movies hitting theaters. Angry Birds, the film. The feature film is to hit theaters July 1st, Canada Day, 2016. Now, it is an animated film. The 3D film is being developed, produced, and financed by the creators of Angry Birds, Rovio Entertainment. It will be released worldwide through Sony Pictures. Sony Pictures won the rights to release this movie. There was a huge bidding war because everybody wants to cash in on the Angry Birds cash cow, I guess. Some of the producers have worked on such films as Despicable Me and Iron Man. It will be a 3D animated film, as I said, and we'll just have to wait and see more information. Now, 2016 seems like a long way away. It's over 3 years away, but you have to remember, animated films take a long time to create. They are, the Pixar ones alone take 4 years. So to say 3 years for this movie, that is very apropos to what is the norm for animated films. The reason why we don't always get these announcements that far in advance is because they're working on these movies almost as soon as they're done a previous one, and they're definitely always in the works with animated films because they take so long. We get announcements as they do casting and get projected release dates, but July 1st, 2016 is the release date as it stands now for Angry Birds the film. Speaking of movies hitting theaters, Assassin's Creed has now have a release date. They will be taking the date of May 22nd, 2015, which is the Memorial Day weekend of 2015. This movie is going to star Michael Fassbender as the assassin. They have not released who they're basing the movie version on. As we know, there's different people playing the assassin throughout the Assassin's Creed games from Ubisoft. There has so far been no director announced, but with the fact that they've now announced that a release date, the thing is, it looks like they are probably close to getting who they want to direct this. Now, that date has no competing releases at this time. It opens 3 weeks after the Avengers 2, and it is opening the week before... is it the week before? And a week after the possible Star Wars Episode 7. So 3 weeks after Avengers, a week after Episode 7, this is when Assassin's Creed is looking like it may hit theaters in 2015. Now, the Star Wars Episode 7 is a guess. We're basing this on the fact that the general release date for all previous Star Wars movies has been the week before Memorial Day. So if J.J. Abrams is ready to go for 2015, and that's what they're shooting for, then Avengers 2 beginning of May, 2 weeks later Star Wars Episode 7, and a week after that Assassin's Creed. It's going to be a jam-packed May 2015 if that's the case. Speaking of J.J. Abrams, he had an interview talking about the future of Star Trek. He said that the Star Trek reboot franchise, Star Trek 3, have not had any discussions. He said a 2016 release date would be ideal because it would be the 50th anniversary of Star Trek. Abrams says, "What I would say is that it feels like 2016 would be a great year given the celebration of the anniversary. But again, I'm open to whatever is the best possible version of the movie. Meaning, if there is a great script and the story is there and it's possible to release that movie in 2015, then great. If we don't figure out until a release for 2017, we don't want a bad movie to come out just because there is a release date. That is true with everything. I would hope the right movie would come out at the right time. Now, for fans, maybe the best thing to do is to hope that it's a 2016 or a 2017 release date, because then maybe JJ can get back into the chair and direct Star Trek 3. As it's planned right now, it doesn't look good. Abrams goes on to say about doing the directing for Star Trek 3, if they want in that period of time, and if Star Wars goes forward as planned, it would obviously be a conflict. That's saying that Star Trek 3 would have to come out probably late 2015, early 2016. So it would obviously be a conflict. It depends when this movie would happen. And again, as no formal discussions have started, it is impossible to know. But in all likelihood, if there's a movie sooner, there will be a different director on the film. It would be something we would all get together and agree on. We love this and care about it too much and want to make sure it is handled correctly. But I would say that having directed pilots in movies and then having seen subsequent directors work on those shows or do their own versions of those films, time and again I have seen it done better. And so I'm looking forward. If there is another director, it will be interesting to see. I am certain I will learn lessons watching their work. Now, if J.J. Abrams does... Well, not if. J.J. Abrams is doing Star Wars Episode 7. If they stick to the current way they want to be released, there's no way J.J. could direct both movies. However, he would still be part of the Star Trek 3 team as a producer and would still visit the set. He would still have input to the director, but it would be a different director doing it. And I think, judging by the way studios want things to move forward, constantly moving forward, we're going to see a new director for Star Trek 3. And that's just the way I see it. And that's fine. JJ's done a great job, and I'm looking forward to his work on Star Wars Episode 7. But at the same time, Star Trek does have to move forward, and we'll have to see what happens. no formal talks. That's what he said. Alright, moving on. A movie that I'm kind of interested in, a little leery on how it's going to be played out, has announced The Villain. The movie The Equalizer, starring Denzel Washington, Chloe Grace Moretz, being directed by Antoine Fuqua, is an adaptation of a 1980s television show. A television show, I might add, that I personally watched. I loved watching Edward Woodward every week as Robert McCall, who was a private detective who, if you could find him, and if you could afford him, he could solve a problem for you. In this movie, McCall is apparently, in the synopsis anyway, is working at Home Depot when one of his acts of kindness towards a prostitute, played by Moretz, gets him embroiled with the Russian mob. The villain is going to be played by Marton Soskas. Not sure if I'm saying that right. Might not recognize the name, but you might recognize some of his work. He has been in such films as Triple X, where he played Yorkie the bad guy. He's been in The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King as Celeborn. Actually, the whole Lord of the Rings series. I mean, I think he missed Two Towers. I don't think he was in the Two Towers. He was also in The Bourne Supremacy, and he was also in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. And going forward, he's also going to be playing Damian Lord in Sin City: A Dame to Kill For, and Dr. Kafka in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So you're going to recognize his face. I guarantee you that. I will maybe what I'll do is I'll post a picture in the description below, and you can check it out, and I guarantee you're going to recognize this man. He's playing a villain. He plays a lot of villains in movies. He's very good at it. He is a New Zealand actor, but he tends to play a lot of Russians. I'm guessing that he has some Russian heritage. I'm just going to take a quick look here. La-di-da. Well, like I said, he's from New Zealand. Can't tell, but just quickly trying to scan his bio. Doesn't say any Russian heritage. Oh, Hungarian. There we go. He's got some Hungarian heritage, which is his father's side. So that's why, okay, I actually said his name wrong. Chokash. His name is Martin Chokash. There you go. So he's Hungarian, but he does tend to play a lot of Russian type actors, and my cat's going absolutely insane right now. It's kind of distracting, actually. Loki! Sorry, everyone. Alright, so moving on. As we know, in July of this year, Red 2, or Retired Extremely Dangerous 2, hits theaters. However, Summit Entertainment, the company producing the movie, has already signed writers to pen Red 3. So we haven't even gotten Red 2 yet, and Red 3 has already been approved to go forward. So Bonaventure Films and Lionsgate Entertainment are going forward with Red 3 based on the fact that the first film, which was made for about $58 million, earned almost $200 million at the box office, and they're expecting Red 2 to be just as successful, with stars like Bruce Willis, John Malkovich, Mary Louise Parker, Anthony Hopkins. Oh, sorry, Sir Anthony Hopkins. I believe it's Dame Helen Mirren. I believe she was knighted. Or ladied? I don't know what they call that. Catherine Zeta-Jones, Byung-Hun Lee, Brian Cox, and Neil McDonough. Huge cast, a lot of good actors in it. I'm looking forward to it myself in July, but Red 3 has already been announced. On a previous podcast, I think it might have even been last week, I said that there would be no Dread sequel from Carl Urban's franchise of it. However, Carl Urban has gone on record this week to say that it's not out of the realm of possibility. Here's what he had to say. Interestingly enough, I did have breakfast with Alex Garland this morning. Now, Alex Garland is the writer from the first film. He says, it's not off the agenda. Clearly, everyone has woken up to the fact that an audience has found this movie and loves it. It's entirely possible. And if people want to see another installment, then they should be vocal about that, because It can happen. The power of fandom can resurrect projects. In fact, that's what happened with Star Trek. They weren't going to do a third season until fans did a letter writing campaign, and they continued that series. So what he's saying is, if we want to see Dredd, we gotta be vocal. Here's the problem. I believe Warner Brothers did these movies, maybe not. Let me just see if it says. Well, it just says studios. I'm not sure which studios did this film offhand. Okay, anyways, the financial success of the franchise has not been great. Studios with millions of dollars are unwilling to spend it on an ultra-violent, hard R-rated comic book movie, that's hard R in the States, 18A to 14A to 18A here in Canada, that has proven twice that Bill Murray's still not going to be a part of it. However, Aykroyd goes on to say, there will be a hole for him. If Billy wants to walk in the door and be in the movie, we'll find a place. And then he was asked, basically, what if he could reveal any more, and this was on a talk show with Larry King, and he said, of course, we're going to be doing you in your new format as you comment on what's happening in Manhattan and up there at Morningside Heights. It's going to be quite a spectacular scene once the stuff starts to break. Ivan Reitman is set to direct Ghostbusters 3 from a script written by Gene Stupnitsky, Lee Eisenberg, and Ethan Coen. The release date has not been yet, but it has been rumored that they want to try and shoot for a 2014 release to kind of coincide with the 30th anniversary of the original. It looks like all of the younger Ghostbusters will be played by Columbia University students, possibly. Or at least they've had some kind of connection to it in the film. But casting has not taken place yet. Aykroyd has only confirmed that the older Ghostbusters will be in it in a smaller role, and of course Larry King will be playing himself. So that's it for the movie side of the entertainment news. So let's get to some television news. Not too much, but a few things here. Wonder Woman. I was just talking about Wonder Woman, and looks like the CW wants to try and do again. The latest run at a series was called Amazon, but it did not make the cut. In fact, it did not even shoot a pilot. Mark Pedowitz, who is the president of the CW, said, "It's being redeveloped. We don't want to produce something that doesn't do the franchise justice. It's the trickiest of all the DC characters." Really? Really, Mark? The trickiest of all the DC characters? Are you kidding me? Wonder Woman is pretty simple, really. And it just seems to me that they're screwing it up as they always seem to do. But it looks like Wonder Woman is not off the slate just yet. Alright, Whovians. Doctor Who had their season finale this past weekend. It was a fantastic episode. Great cliffhanger. Unfortunately, we have to wait till November 23rd to see the continuation of the season finale, when they do the 50th anniversary special, which as I said is going to air November 23rd. So let the countdown begin. So here's what is being said as a synopsis. It's when the TARDIS returns in the frankly earth-shattering adventure that celebrates half a century of Doctor Who. This 3D special stars Matt Smith and Jenna Coleman, with David Tennant and John Hurt seen briefly at the end of The Name of the Doctor. Billie Piper returns alongside Gemma Redgrave, Joanna Page, and the Zygons. This confirms that there will be Doctor Who. I don't want to spoil the season finale, but if you haven't seen it, definitely see it. John Hurt does make an appearance, as was said, and it's very interesting, pertaining to the rumors I said a week or two ago. The network has also confirmed that prior to 2014, the 8th season will continue. There will be a Christmas special in December, as usual, so we'll have the November 23rd 50th anniversary. We'll have the Christmas special, and we are going to have a kind of a behind-the-scenes look. It's called An Adventure in Time and Space. It will dramatize the real-life creation of Doctor Who. It's going to star David Bradley as William Hartnell. For those of you who don't know David Bradley, watch a Harry Potter movie. He played Argus Filch in those movies, and I think he's a perfect person to play playing William Hartnell in the creation and the origins of Doctor Who. That being said, Series 8 will probably start filming sometime early in 2014, and Matt Smith has basically said he will be back. Matt Smith will continue being the Doctor for at least one more series. Let's just see if I can find the exact quote here. Smith confirmed his own return in an interview with the Sun's TV magazine. He said, "We come back and shoot the Christmas special over the summer, then we go on to the next series, which will either start filming at the end of the year or at the start of 2014. So they're currently filming the 50th anniversary. They're going to finish that. Then in the summer, they're going to do the Christmas special. And then at the end of the year, either late December or early January of 2014, they'll be beginning the 8th season. So Matt Smith apparently will be back for an 8th series. And I believe his third, if I'm doing my calculations quickly in my head correctly, that his third series as the 11th Doctor, possibly. And some other TV news. I sometimes just like being right. I said Zombieland, the television series, which was actually being aired on Amazon, would suck. And apparently, the fans agreed with me. And I'm not even one of the fans because I did not watch it. It failed so badly that it has already been canceled. The Zombieland series has been canceled. And the show co-creator, Rhett Reese, went on Twitter and said, "Our Zombieland series will not be moving forward on Amazon. Sad for everyone involved. I'll never understand the vehement hate the pilot received from die-hard Zombieland fans. You guys successfully hated it out of existence. Anyway, we did our best, and we're very proud of our team." So, apparently, it did not appeal to the Zombieland fans, which tells me two things. One, series should have never been made. I was right saying this is a series that would suck. Two, you take, I can't even think of his name. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, goodness me. Woody Harrelson. There we go. You take Woody Harrelson out of the equation, and it's not a Zombieland movie. Like, I mean, come on. Zombieland was a great movie. But to make a TV series without anybody from the movie, which obviously they couldn't do because, I mean, like, all those actors are really busy, it was absolutely stupid and insane and just not right. There was no way this series was going to work, you know, especially when you're trying to compete with real good zombie television shows like, I don't know, The Walking Dead. Sorry, Rhett Reese. I know you guys probably worked hard on that pilot. Usually there's a lot of work that gets done. But apparently, you can't please the fans. And if you can't please the fans, you're not going to succeed with the show. Sorry, needed a little drink there. So that is the end of the entertainment section this week. Before we move forward, I'm going to leave a little spot here for Rob Chiquetto.
Hi, I'm Rob Chiquetto, and you're listening to Ehnotherpodcast.com. Hi, I'm Rob Chiquetto, creator of Zombie Portraits. You can check out Zombie Portraits at zombieportraits.com.
So yes, thank you, Rob Chiquetto, and remember to visit zombieportraits.com for all of his work. Okay, so moving on, a little bit of gaming news this week. Voice actors for Batman Arkham Origins. Kevin Conroy will not be back this time for voicing Batman. Now, there was multiple stories this week. First of all, it was announced that he was not returning. Then at the Dallas Comic-Con, he said he was going to be... he made an offhand comment about voicing in a Batman game, and it was assumed that he was talking about Batman Arkham Origins. Apparently, he was not. The voice for Batman in Batman Arkham Origins will be Roger Craig Smith, and the voice of the Joker will not be Mark Hamill, it will be Troy Baker. And here's the thing. It is an Origins game. He is supposed to be younger, so maybe that's why they didn't cast him. But however, Conroy's comments about working on the next Arkham game bring up a kind of interesting point. Maybe there is going to be a sequel to Arkham City, which will be later on, and Conroy will voice Batman there. Arkham Origins is, as I said, being developed by the Warner Brothers Games Montreal, and is going to be a prequel. So it's going to take place before Arkham Asylum, and it's going to basically take place before the rise of Gotham City's most dangerous villains and assassins. The game is going to showcase young, raw, unrefined Batman as he faces a defining moment in his early career as a crime fighter that sets his path to becoming the Dark Knight. As the story unfolds, witness identities being formed and key relationships being forged. That's the official statement. It will be available on the Wii U, the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, and the PC this year. October 25th, 2013 is the release date. To go with that, I am going to put the trailer, which is awesome, by the way, in the description below. So definitely check that out. And that's it for the gaming news this week, just a little bit. But Kevin Conroy, who is the voice of Batman, not going to be part of Arkham Origins, sadly. Moving on to sports news. Guess I should have probably put that a little bit differently, but Sports news, first thing I want to get into, I forgot last week, and it was probably due to the fact that I was not 100% gung-ho to see the latest WWE pay-per-view, Extreme Rules. There was no matches on there. Honestly, this pay-per-view could have been a Monday Night Raw at best, maybe even at worst, a SmackDown taping. This pay-per-view did not have the feel of a pay-per-view. It felt honestly like I was watching a Monday Night Raw more than anything else. However, let's get to some results. In the pre-show, we had Miz facing off against Cody Rhodes, with Miz earning the victory. Show kicked off with Chris Jericho facing his WrestleMania opponent, Fandango. In this match, and I watched it and I saw it a few times, Fandango had some goofs. He missed spots. He missed certain things. Jericho carried him so much in this match and finally picked up a pay-per-view win. Now I say finally because in the last 14 pay-per-view matches that Chris Jericho's had, which goes back as far as I believe 2010. Yes. Now, he didn't wrestle at all in 2011. I will stipulate that. But from 2010 to this point in 2013, he's had 14 pay-per-view matches. He's only won 2 of them. And this is only his first win since SummerSlam of last year. He's not had a great pay-per-view record. But as I said last month in my predictions that he would lose at WrestleMania because he's the type of guy who will push a guy over the top to help his career. This is the type of guy Chris Jericho is. He's one of the reasons why I love watching him. In 2011, he was on tour with Fozzy, so he didn't wrestle, as I said. But he has definitely been one of the top wrestlers in my entire history of watching wrestling. He's probably in my top 5 easily, with guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret the Hitman Hart, Shawn Michaels, and he's just so great, and the fact that he will do this is just amazing. Now, unfortunately, it looks like Payback, which is the next pay-per-view, is not shaping up much better because I have a feeling we're going to see Jericho versus Fandango once again, with probably Fandango coming out on top to once again give him that needed push. I don't know if that's for true. I'm just predicting or guessing or whatever you want to call it. Theorizing, maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Theorizing that could be very well the case. I mean, pay-per-view is called Payback, which is a very new one for the WWE. It's never been done before. If it has, it's been many, many years since it's happened. Moving on, Dean Ambrose who is of the Shield, by the way, defeated Kofi Kingston to win the U.S. title. Randy Orton faced off against Big Show in an Extreme Rules match, which basically means no countouts, no disqualifications, false count anywhere, pinfalls or submissions only, and defeated the Big Show. Sheamus faced off against Mark Henry in a strap match. Pretty decent match. Probably my second favorite of the night other than Jericho. And Sheamus defeated Mark Henry in that strap match, with the final blow being the bro kick. The Shield, that being Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, won the tag team titles in a Texas Tornado match, defeating Team Hell No. So this pay-per-view should be known not as Extreme Rules, but the night the Shield ruled, because the Shield now has gold. All 3 members of the Shield are all champions. In a number 1 contenders match, because Dolph Ziggler got injured in a SmackDown taping earlier in the month. He is concussed and cannot compete currently. So the triple threat world title match was changed to a number 1 contenders match, and that had Del Rio defeating Jack Swagger in an I Quit number 1 contenders match, a match that was actually restarted for the first time that I've seen in a very long time. The WWE official actually called for an instant replay. The ref saw what he thought was Ricardo Rodriguez throwing in the towel, basically saying Del Rio would give up and lose the match, so he rang the bell. However, upon further review, it was revealed that actually Zeb Coulter, who I loathe and hate with a passion, and I can't stand Jack Swagger's character or his direction currently in the show. I don't like the storylines that's going on with that, but that's, I watch wrestling to be entertained fully, and I don't need the political BS that has to go on with this duo. So I was glad Del Rio won the number 1 contenders match. But anyways, as I said, Zeb Coulter threw the towel in. The match was restarted, and it looked like Swagger was actually going to still win because Del Rio was very hurt from the Patriot lock, as Jack Swagger calls it. But he was able to lock in the arm breaker, and Jack Swagger eventually gave up. So that was that. Now, the WWE title was on the line. John Cena defending the title against Ryback. Unfortunately, that match was a no contest. There was a point in the match where Ryback was about to be FU'd, or what is he called it now? The AA, the attitude adjustment. I still call it the FU. That's what he initially called it. That's what I'm going to call it. He was going to be FU'd onto the floor, got out of the hold by, elbowing John Cena in the head, and then driving him through the staging at the top of the ramp. Both men were injured. John Cena was carried out on a stretcher. Now, I don't know where they're going with this storyline. I'm hoping that they're not using this huge bump, quote unquote, to take Cena out of action to help his heel heal. His injured Achilles heel to heal. How about that? That makes a little bit more sense. John Cena recently suffered an Achilles heel injury, and maybe that's why they're doing this huge bump. But, the bump looks more like it was going to be a neck injury. But as far as I know, John Cena's neck is fine. I have not watched Raw yet because I'm recording the podcast. I will be watching it later, so I'll find out more information later. But as of right now, I'm not sure why they decided to do this. John Cena is still the champion. That's all that needs to be said. Guaranteed this feud, if you will, is not over. Unfortunately, I was kind of hoping for a CM Punk return in this, but not quite yet, I guess. And the final match of the evening was Brock Lesnar facing off against Triple H in a steel cage match. And with the help of Paul E. Heyman, Brock Lesnar defeated Triple H after Paul Heyman delivered a low blow, and then Brock Lesnar clocked Triple H with not only the sledgehammer, but then an F5, defeating Triple H and possibly putting an end to this feud, with Brock Lesnar winning twice now in the last 3 times they faced. And Triple H only winning at WrestleMania, which of course we knew was going to happen because we knew Triple H was going to keep his job. So that's it. That's your Extreme Rules wrap-up, if you will. So we're going to move on to the NHL Playoffs. Playoffs? Yes, playoffs. As of the end of the night Monday, as I said, I'm recording this Monday, so as of the end of the night, end of games on Monday, here are the following standings as they pertain to the series. Round 2, remember, we are in. Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit leads the series 2-1. Not looking good for my prediction. In the Los Angeles Kings San Jose Sharks series, Los Angeles Kings lead 2-1. Looking good for my prediction. In the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Ottawa Senators series, Pittsburgh leads 2-1. Not looking good for my predictions. And finally, Boston versus the New York Rangers. Boston leads the series 2-0. Looking good for my predictions. So, with that being said, every series, with the exception of the Boston and Rangers series, has played 3 games. Boston could go up 3-0. However, they will be playing in New York for Game 3. Tuesday, the Los Angeles Kings will be in San Jose for Game 4. Wednesday, the only game on tap is the Senators and the Penguins, also playing Game 4. That one in Ottawa. Ottawa looking to even the series up on home ice to possibly make this a best-of-3 series with only 3 games remaining, needing to win 2. So we'll have to see where things go. Next week, we should have a very clear indication of who might be advancing, and we may even have some people advancing by then. It's always a possibility. Let's look at some statistics. Your points leader so far in the playoffs, David Krejci of the Boston Bruins with 16. Your goals leader, we have a 3-way tie. Pascal Dupuis of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Patrick Sharp of the Chicago Blackhawks, and crybaby Sidney Crosby, all with 6 goals, tied for the league lead in the playoffs. Your assist leaders in the playoffs, 2-way tie. Evgeny Malkin of the Pittsburgh Penguins and David Krejci of the Boston Bruins, each with 11 points. 11 assists. Your plus-minus leader is Nathan Horton of the Boston Bruins with plus 14. Your goals against average leader, Jonathan Quick, 1.60 goals against average. Right behind him, a man who has saved the Pittsburgh Penguins season, Thomas Vokoun, 1.61 goals against average. Your save percentage leader is Thomas Vokoun with a .949 save percentage, or if you prefer, 94.9% save percentage. But, that's not how it works in hockey. They do a .949, kind of like baseball with the batting average. Your wins leader, 3-way tie, all with 6 wins, Jonathan Quick of the Kings, Tuukka Rask of the Bruins, and Jimmy Howard of the Red Wings. Shutout leaders, 2-way tie again, Jonathan Quick and Henrik Lundqvist, each with 2 shutouts in the playoffs. So those are your statistics. Last week we started naming finalists for trophies. Well, we have 4 more to announce. Your Masterson Trophy finalists, and the Masterson Trophy is the National Hockey League player who best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. Your finalists are Crybaby Sidney Crosby from the Pittsburgh Penguins, from the Minnesota Wild goaltender Josh Harding, and from the Boston Bruins defenseman Adam McQuaid, all finalists for the Masterson Trophy. Your finalists for the Frank J. Selke Trophy, or the forward who best excels in the defensive aspects of the game, or as I like to call it, the best defensive forward. Your nominees or finalists are Patrice Bergeron of the Boston Bruins, Pavel Datsyuk, the Datsyukian one of the Detroit Red Wings, and Jonathan Toews of the Chicago Blackhawks. Personally, in this category, I would love to see Toews win. Unfortunately, I think Mr. Pavel Datsyuk will probably win it this year. And the Lady Byng, which is the most gentlemanly player, or as the league describes it, to the player adjudged to have exhibited the best type of sportsmanship and gentlemanly conduct combined with a high standard of playing ability. So not only do you got to be nice and sportsmanlike, you also have to be a good player. Your finalists for this trophy are Patrick Kane of the Chicago Blackhawks, Matt Moulson of the New York Islanders, and Martin St. Louis of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Love to see St. Louis win this trophy. I think he deserves it. I hope he wins it. And coaching, your best coach, the Jack Adams Trophy, which is, as the NHL puts it, to the NHL coach adjudged to have contributed the most to his team's success, Bruce Boudreau of the Anaheim Ducks, Paul McLean of the Ottawa Senators, and Joel Quenneville of the Chicago Blackhawks. Most notably absent is Terrier of the Montreal Canadiens, who brought a team who was 28th all the way up to second in the East, which is a damn good feat. However, these guys are all pretty decent coaches. As long as the Ottawa coach doesn't win, I will be a happy man. I hate Ottawa, by the way. So that is your hockey update for this week. Let's move on to some baseball. Your American League standings. Your division leaders are the Texas Rangers in the West with a 29-15 record. In the AL East is the New York Yankees with a 28-16 record. And in the Central, the 26-17 Cleveland Indians round out your division leaders. Your wild card holders at the present time, the Boston Red Sox holding one of the wild card spots with a 27-18 record, and the Detroit Tigers holding the other one with a 23-19 record. My Toronto Blue Jays are currently 6 games behind the wild card leaders, and I believe they're 7.5. Let me just get back here. American League East. They are also 6. 7 back in the division. So that's how my team's doing. How your team's doing? Hopefully I'm naming them because remember I'm only doing the top ones. In the National League, the St. Louis Cardinals are the division leaders in the Central, 28-15 record. In the NL East, the Atlanta Braves holding on to that top spot, 26-18 record. And in the NL West, Arizona Diamondbacks, 26-19, holding that division lead. And your wild card leaders right now, the first wild card would go to the Cincinnati Reds with a 27-18 record, and the second one would go to the Pittsburgh Pirates with a 26-18 record. So those are your standings. Let's take a look at some statistics this week. As always, I will do 3 statistics from each, and they are going to be the home runs, the RBIs, and the stolen bases for the players, and the pitching wins, the pitching strikeouts, and the pitching saves for the pitchers. So your home run leaders, Justin Upton with 14, leading the way in the major leagues. He's of the Atlanta Braves. The next 5 guys are all tied at 12, so I named them all. Chris Davis of the Orioles, Mark Reynolds of the Indians, Edwin Encarnacion of the Jays, Paul Goldschmidt of the Diamondbacks, and Robinson Cano of the Yankees, all with 12 home runs, sitting tied for second. Your RBI leaders, Miguel Cabrera of the Detroit Tigers, 47 RBIs, Chris Davis of the Baltimore Orioles, 40 RBIs, and then we have a 3-way tie for your third, Prince Fielder of the Tigers, Troy Tulowitzki of the Rockies, and Mark Reynolds of the Indians, all with 37 RBIs. Stolen base leaders, Everett Cabrera had a great week and has now taken the top spot from Jacoby Ellsbury with 18 stolen bases to lead the major leagues. Jean Segura of the Brewers has 14, and then a 3-way tie with 13 stolen bases, Jacoby Ellsbury of the Red Sox, Juan Pierre of the Marlins, and Nate McLouth of the Orioles. Moving on to the pitcher statistics, Matt Moore of the Rays leads the way with 8 wins. Yu Darvish, Justin Masterson, and Jordan Zimmerman, Yu Darvish of the Rangers, Masterson of the Indians, and Zimmerman of the Nationals, each have 7 wins. Now that's only 4, but the reason why I'm not going any further is because there's 5 other players tied with 6 wins. Your strikeout leaders, Yu Darvish of the Texas Rangers, 86 strikeouts so far this year. In 2 starts, he'll probably be at 100. With 1 great start, he could be at 100. AJ Burnett, 79 strikeouts this year. He's of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's having a good year, it looks like. Felix Hernandez of the Mariners, 72 strikeouts. Justin Masterson of the Indians with 71. and Clay Buchholz of the Red Sox with 69. Rounding out the pitching statistics, the saves leaders, Jason Grilli of the Pirates, 17 saves. Mariano Rivera of the New York Yankees, 16 saves. Then we have a three-way tie, Jim Johnson of the Orioles, Craig Kimbrell of the Atlanta Braves, and Addison Reed of the Chicago White Sox, all with 14 saves. And that, my friends, is your statistics for the baseball this week. And also a shorter broadcast, probably one of my shortest ones so far, but let's just say there was a lot of issues going on this week. I've had some computer issues, and I'm actually happy that I'm able to get this podcast out because I wasn't 100% sure. It's probably actually not my shortest. I've had a few under an hour, so this one's just over an hour. But you know what? All the information's getting out there. I hope you keep listening. Remember to keep coming back to Ehnother Podcast. We have many shows on here for you to listen to. On Mondays, we have Ehnother Podcast. On Tuesdays, we have Real Music. And here on Wednesdays is where I sit, Warlock Wednesdays. Hopefully Teen Talk Thursdays will be back. We also have Is This Thing On, a syndicated podcast that airs on Sundays. So you can check us out on all the places that have been named before. I'll name them again. Ehnotherpodcast.com. That's Ehnother podcast.com. You can find us on iTunes under Ehnother Podcast. Also, look for us on Stitcher.com and stream us to whatever your device you're using. Your tablet, your phone, your computer, your laptop. We're there at your fingertips and at your convenience. So that is it for this week. I'm Rayzor. This is the Warlock Hour. Hope to see you back next week. I'm out. Thanks for listening to Ehnother Podcast from Ehnotherpodcast.com. Don't forget to go on iTunes and or download right from Ehnotherpodcast.com. That's Ehnother podcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at Ehnother Podcast. Be sure to check back for tomorrow's show only on Ehnother Podcast, your Canadian podcast network. Ehnotherpodcast.com. Not a sponsor.